The Reborn Daughter, a story by Lakshmi Menon. With trembling fingers, Malaviga typed out her resignation letter and signed it hesitantly. She had enjoyed her work with friendly colleagues and a caring and affectionate boss. This is my first and last job, thought Malaviga painfully as she entered the director's cabin with the resignation letter. Jagdish Mehta was, as usual, busy with his work. He motioned to her to sit for a while after reading the last letter and affixing his signature. Mehtaji looked at Malaviga with a smile, ready to listen to her. Malaviga handed over the resignation after a final look at it, along with the wedding invitation card. Suddenly, she noticed a flicker of pain passing over Mehta's face while he extended his hand to congratulate her. Malaviga had been working with him as his personal secretary for the last 5 years. She had informed him of her marriage that had been proposed 2 weeks ago after she had returned from a month's annual leave. The previous day, she had received a final letter from her mother stating that since everything was settled, she had to resign and come home as early as possible. Jagdish Mehta was very upset at losing his efficient secretary, although he pretended to be happy on hearing the news of her marriage. He recollected the day Malaviga, a young and pretty girl without any experience in the field, had joined his office. He was initially very reluctant to appoint her as the post demanded high responsibility. However, during the interview, she did well, and he had come to know through a personal interview that Malaviga was the eldest daughter of her widowed mother. Malaviga's mother had two other daughters apart from Malaviga and a son who was still at school. Malaviga had been educated with great difficulty. After the school final examination, she was sent to attend a computer course. Rajan Seth, the personal officer, was alarmed at the director's decision to appoint an inexperienced girl for his responsible post. Malaviga, however, proved herself very soon, and Rajan Seth's fears were short lived. She handled her work with extreme care and earned her superiors' appreciation and confidence in no time. The director was so pleased with her work that a single day's absence on Malaviga's part caused him great concern. She did her duties as though she could read Mehtaji's mind. Malaviga was always attentive and conscientious in her work, as well as the different moods of her boss. It helped Mehtaji to avoid many of his tensions and the unnecessary bad temper that he sometimes showed to his employees. Mehtaji had never seen a secretary as efficient as Malaviga in all his 50 years of life. Sitting on his rolling executive chair, Jagdish Mehta realized with pain that Malaviga had become so indispensable to him that her absence made him sick with trepidation. Saab is in a very bad mood, his personal peon would tell others when they waited outside his room to see him for any urgent work when Malaviga was absent sometimes. Why should I be so upset at losing her? Can't I find another good secretary in her place? He asked himself. He decided to send his request for a good and efficient secretary to all the placement agencies immediately. The last day, when Malaviga entered Mehtaji's cabin to hand over the keys and say goodbye to her boss, she was surprised to get a small packet as her wedding gift. Tears welled in her eyes as she left the cabin. Back in her seat, she opened the small packet, and to her surprise, she found a thick gold chain inside with a note attached to it. Dear Malaviga, wish you a very happy and long married life, Jagdish Mehta. Malaviga gratefully accepted other presents given to her by her colleagues. The possibility of their attending her marriage in her faraway village was out of the question. She was loved and respected by all for her helping nature and her sweet and innocent smile. She bade goodbye to all of them and the office where she had happily spent 5 years of her life, her arms loaded with various packets. Malavika wiped her tears away with a handkerchief and tried to smile. Due to the heavy workload, Mehtaji had to fill up the post within a fortnight. Though Daisy tried her best to prove herself as a good secretary, Mehtaji seemed to be always dissatisfied with her. As the days passed, he realized that he missed his previous secretary in his day to day work. Many of his subordinates had to become the unfortunate victims of his short temper. Was Malavika a mere secretary to me? He began to wonder. Mehtaji suddenly remembered Malavika's wedding day and sent greetings to the address printed on the invitation card. Usually his secretary sent such greetings. He felt as though he was sending greetings to a daughter at her marriage. The marriage of his only daughter, Reena, then came to his mind. She was married 2 years ago and went abroad with her husband, leaving her only little brother with him. He pictured Malavika in her bridal costume, clad in a traditional Kanjipuram silk sari, going with her handsome husband, bidding goodbye to her mother and sisters. She would have hugged her little brother in the way Reena did to Ashish. Malavika would have missed her father at the time of her marriage in the way Reena had missed her mother, whom she had lost during childhood. The very thought of his dear wife filled his eyes with tears and brought back painful memories of her accidental death. No, he screamed and tried to calm himself down. A week later, he looked forward to a letter from Malavika. Why didn't she write to me? Suddenly, another thought crossed his mind. Why should she write to me now? After all, I was only a boss to her. I had never shown my fatherly feelings for her. On a Monday morning, Mehtaji was about to leave the house for the customs office. He suddenly remembered that he had not dictated an urgent letter to be sent abroad about his proposed visit to Daisy. If it were Malavika, I wouldn't have worried. She would have managed it by herself and kept it ready for my signature, or may even have it sent it to my house. He murmured, the stupid Daisy doesn't even know how to draft a single letter by herself. She was supposed to be having more years of experience than Malavika. He immediately came to his drawing room and dialed his office number. After giving the necessary instructions to Daisy, he hurriedly opened the door and stood like a stone, not daring to breathe. Malavika, he murmured. She was coming alone to his house. She looked completely shattered and depressed. Clad in an old sari, pale as though she had suddenly grown 10 years older than she was. Her untidy dress and unruly hair showed that she had travelled far. Her half smile made him more uneasy. Mehtaji's eyes searched for her husband, and he had many unanswered questions to ask. Malavika just collapsed into the chair in the sitting room even before Jagdish Mehta could offer her the seat, and began to unwind and say all that was in her mind. As discussed earlier by her family, the remaining dowry was to be given within 2 months of the marriage. Suddenly, her would-be father-in-law changed his mind and demanded the full dowry within 24 hours before the marriage ceremony. Her poor mother could not make up the amount, and hence the boy was not allowed to tie the Mangal Sutra on Malavika. The bridegroom was taken away by force from the marriage hall, and the wedding was cancelled. Malavika's mother had collapsed on the spot and was rushed to the hospital. Now my mother has been discharged from the hospital. Concluding her pathetic story, Malavika took a deep breath and glanced at her boss, hoping to hear some words of sympathy. Mehtaji was taken aback and could not utter a word of consolation. Silent moments passed. Malavika broke the silence again. Sir, I came to find out whether my post has already been filled. If it is not at looking at him expectantly, she added, would you mind taking me back, sir? How many innocent girls are suffered in this way for want of dowry in our country? What is the value of their dreams and tears? The hearts of how many poor parents are broken for want of insufficient dowry to get their daughters married. Mehtaji could not sit in front of her. Though the fan on the roof was at a high speed, he was sweating. He got up from his seat and said, Malavika, you go inside and take some rest. Don't worry about your job now. We will see that something can be done. Entrusting her to his aged mother, Jagdish Mehta took his car and went out after making another phone call. 15 minutes later, Mehtaji's blue car stopped in front of Shankaran Pillai's bungalow. Hello, Mehtaji. Good morning to you. Shankaran Pillai greeted him fondly. After some formal talk, Jagdish Mehta came to the point about the purpose of his visit. Last time you brought me a suitable boy for Reena. Now I have come to ask you for another boy for my second daughter. Mehtaji took out his towel and wiped the pearls of sweat that had formed on his forehead. Do you have another daughter? I never knew it. Shankaran Pillai looked at his friend in disbelief. Yes, I have one more daughter. My wife had given birth 22 years ago to a girl, but the child lived only for 10 days. She has come back to life now. Shankaran Pillai sat astonished as if he were listening to some ghost story. What do you mean? Your dead daughter has come back to life? Mehtaji drew his chair closer to him and said softly, I am talking about my secretary Malavika, who has now returned from the wedding hall for want of inadequate dowry. I will give any amount of dowry for the boy you choose to be her husband. Malavika is not a new girl to you. You are quite aware of her pleasing personality and other good qualities she has. If I had a son old enough to marry her, I would not have hesitated to take her as my daughter-in-law. Today I see Malavika as Reena's sister. Could you find someone for her? Mehtaji waited for the answer. After thinking for a few minutes, Shankaran Pillai put his hairy hand on his friend's shoulder and said, Don't worry, my dear friend. I am looking for a suitable girl for my son. I don't think I can find a more suitable girl than Malavika to be my behu. Mehtaji embraced his friend and asked him to specify his demands. As you know, I am against the dowry system. I am concerned only about the qualities of the girl. I have earned enough for both my sons to live happily all their lives. For the first time, Jagdish Mehta looked at his childhood friend with a tinge of jealousy for possessing such a virtuous mind. It took some time for Mehta to realize that it was his greatest friend, a well-known businessman and owner of two big soap factories, who was speaking to him. His heart jumped for joy and a sense of relief. He drove his car home, mindless of the speedometer, to give the good news directly to his reborn daughter. Hope you have enjoyed the story, and be sure to subscribe for more such audio stories. Thank you.